Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We're hosting this as the Northwest Wish Board, and we are absolutely delighted to welcome Hayley today. So the topic is confidence and authenticity. For me, certainly, this is so topical because we actually, what's going on at the moment, of course, is actually we are emerging, it feels, whether now for your organisations or whether actually in the next 2 to 3 weeks or whatever, but certainly we are emerging, and maybe some of us are emerging maybe less confident than we were before. You know, we've had quite a lot of time out, haven't we, perhaps to reflect, perhaps to internalize some of those things, and I think it's apt that we're looking again at confidence, I think, as we emerge in 2022. For me, Hayley, the testimonials for Hayley are fabulous. She's an exceptional coach, whether that be for you personally, if it's something you're looking at channeling yourself, or for your business in terms of your teams, I think. And again, as I say, going forward, as we emerge perhaps to those meetings that we all need to attend in person going forward. What I was also going to say is she's described, I'm reading this, she's described as excellent to work with, warm, and somehow putting you at the heart of your self-development, which actually is a skill in itself. So I will hand over to Hayley to deliver this session. Please ask any questions in the chat. We'll come back to them later at the end, and we will have plenty of time. Okay, enjoy the session. Thanks, Hayley.
Oh, thanks, Nicola. That was really lovely words. I don't know where you found them from, but I appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. I think I must have been working with Wish for about, 4 or 5 years now in various different guises, some stuff in person, some stuff online. But I'm really excited to be back again for 2022. It still feels like 2020 in my head, but somehow there's been a global pandemic and I've had a baby and all sorts of stuff in between. But let me just share my screen with you now. Picture of me actually looking really glamorous compared to today. The joys of working from home. If you want to grab pen and paper, there's going to be loads of stuff to write notes on, loads of kinds of hints and tips and things. There's going to be an activity. You can do it electronically, but it'll be easier on pen and paper. So if you want to kind of quickly go and grab that, do that. But welcome to How to Be Confident and Authentic. I'm really excited to be back and delivering the kind of updated version of this webinar, I think. My name's Hayley. I run an organisation called Compassionate Leaders, as you can see on the bottom of that screen there. It's a consultancy organisation, and we work with aspiring leaders who want to be confident and assertive and creative and innovative leaders, but they also want to be compassionate. They want to be nice. Empathy is really important to them. And unfortunately, too many of the women that I work with really have this belief, which society has given us, unfortunately, that in order to be a leader, in order to be a boss, a CEO, whatever your aspiration is, just a manager even, that we have to be hard, or we have to be bit cutthroat, or a bit of a bitch, or we have to be kind of bossy, or just kind of aggressive. And I'm here to absolutely prove that that's not true. And I do that through academic research. I do that through literally delivering stuff like this and hearing case studies, good news stories, where people have actually had amazing, powerful results through putting their staff and their customers at the heart of their decisions. So being nice is better for business. That's kind of my slogan, I suppose. That looks like training, coaching, as Nicola said, do lots of one-to-one coaching with leaders, lots of group coaching. I've got a team of amazing associates, and we deliver things like mental health awareness training, domestic abuse awareness. We're just looking at putting together a menopause package, lots of stuff about confident leadership, I suppose, is the easiest way to say it. And really, that is all about you being you. And that's kind of what we're going to cover in today's webinar. It's that how to be confident, because I think we all kind of know that we want to be, but the question's kind of how, isn't it? So yeah, as I said, pen and paper, loads of notes. I'm going to throw loads of stuff at you. The aims of today are, I'm going to share with you my biggest confidence tool. I kind of sometimes call it a bit of a secret, but it's the one thing that if you take that one thing away, you can start your confident journey. I'm going to give you a bit of neuroscience, a bit of the kind of understanding of how confidence comes about in the first place. My background is in mental health, and I'm a trainee psychologist. So I'm really fascinated in terms of the brain and our biology, and how confidence is, the whole nature nurture thing. Are we born with it, or do we learn it? We'll go into that in more detail. I'm going to give you lots and lots of practical tools as well. Let's just get stuck in, I reckon. That is my contact details, a few little pictures of me. The reason I put those there is because I think it's always nice to know who you're talking to. This isn't about me. This is very much about you. But I'm using this slide and what I'm saying now as a way to kind of frame the whole webinar. Confidence is about you being you, completely you, owning it, accepting it, not hiding it, being you authentically. And that word's kind of overused quite a lot at the moment. But what I'm not saying is you have to be bold and brassy and you have to stand on stage and talk to 1,000 people, and do public speaking if you're not that person. But what I'm kind of saying is that you don't have to dim your light for anyone, no matter who you are. This is about you being you. I'm quite energetic. I'm pretty enthusiastic. I speak really fast. You will find that I'm going to throw loads of value in this webinar at you. That might be too much for some people, and that's okay. And I think that's the core thing, is that confidence is about you being you, despite the fact that sometimes people are not going to be your people, and that's okay. There are lots of people that teach this stuff. You will find someone that you gel with, and that's okay. But the key in this is that I'm not going to dim my light because that doesn't suit someone else. Does that make sense? I think, obviously we have to be emotionally intelligent and all that kind of thing. And we'll go into much more detail if you come and do programs or coaching with me. But before we even start any of this, we kind of have to do that bit about, well, who am I then? So if you're telling me to stand up and be confident and be authentic and, be unapologetically me, well, who am I? What is that? And flipping heck, that's a lifelong question, isn't it? Very philosophical way to start this webinar. But ultimately, the reason I put these photos here is you're going to see the top left version of me with the yellow wall and the flip chart. That's me at work, and I love it. I absolutely love my work. I loved delivering that training. Absolutely love coaching. I love managing a team, etc. But I'm also that person in the middle. I have 4 dogs. I've also got 4 ducks. I've got a hamster. I live rurally in Worcestershire, and that's my little baby and my husband. And actually, that's mostly me. I actually show up with my husband pretty much the same way I show up at work. Like, I'm this sort of chatty person. The other picture is me. I'm really into well-being. I'm really into yoga. I actually met my husband at yoga. And I share that because ultimately we all make snap judgments of people. And it's really interesting to know, once you know just those 3 pictures, what judgments you'll make on me. I'm not going to change who I am based on your judgments, but I am going to explain how those judgments can lead to you feeling confident and judging other people and their confidence. What I would really love is, this might be pushing you out your comfort zone slightly. Other people might be absolutely fine with it. But can you use the chat box and just let me know your name, where you are in the world, and 1 word to describe how you feel right now. And I will not take it personally. So if you say tired, people say that on my training course. They turn up and they say tired. Some people say, enthusiastic. Some people will say bored at the beginning, not the end. But it would be really good to just get a bit of a snapshot, where in the world people are, how are you feeling, just to kind of start that interaction. And I say that because of the pandemic, it's kind of zapped us, hasn't it, from that kind of real human connection and interaction. And I'm definitely someone who is better standing up and delivering in person. I'm definitely better kind of creating that shared environment. Look at all these comments. Amazing. North Wales, interested. London, energised. Whitley Bay, energised. Manchester, excited. Wakefield, intrigued. Southampton, look at all this. West Yorkshire, intrigued. I used to live in Otley, just north of Leeds. Cheshire, open. Exeter, Castleford. You're all over the place. I love that. Lots of intrigued. Scarborough, Manchester, Leeds. Hello, Leeds. King's Cross, in the office. It was brilliant. Amazing, 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 amazing. Look at that. Love it. Also hungry. Fab, thank you. It's really great to do that, and I think it's, it just helps me feel a little bit like I'm connected to you all as well, rather than just sitting in my office. My contact details are there if you want them. Obviously I'll share them at the end as well, but they're on there if you do want to have a bit of a chat about this stuff. Let's talk about confidence, and I'm going to stop sharing because actually that's just a really boring slide to look at for the next few minutes. So let's start with talking about, what is confidence? Before we start talking about it in relation to leadership, actually, I think it's kind of important to say, what does confidence mean to you? And this is why I wanted you to get pen and paper. So what are we aiming for? I think when people say, I want to be confident, that is so subjective, isn't it? What does confidence mean to you? To me, it will mean, let me think about this. I think confidence to me is someone, if somebody was confident, to me that means, it's open body language, it's friendly, it's warm, that kind of warm personality, approachable. For someone else, confidence might mean really thorough, really good at their job, really kind of get their head down, stuck in, hardworking. That might be really different. For some people, confidence might be wearing a bikini on a beach. It will mean something so different to everybody. And so what I want to find out first of all is what confidence means to you. And this is us doing that beginning bit about who am I as a person. So on your piece of paper, I just want you to draw a circle, and I'm not going to give you too much. Just pause for a second, don't draw the circle yet. I'm not going to give you too much instruction because I want it to deliberately be subjective to whatever you do. So the first circle I want you to draw is to represent where you're at in your life right now. Some people they'll be really pushed out their comfort zone with this. They'll be like, well, what do you mean? How big? Where should it go? Left or right, in the middle of the page, how big? That's okay. Just gut instinct, circle on the page that represents where you're at right now. Other people have just done it straight away. There's no wrong or right at all. And so what I want you to then do is draw another circle on the same page that represents where you want to be. So you in the future that's confident, the confident version of you, draw a circle that represents that person. And again, it's sort of gut instinct, just go for it. Try not to overthink it. I realise that some people will have a few blockers for that. You're all listening to this because you want to be more confident, I'm assuming. Confidence is a journey. It's not about I can't just, unfortunately, wave my magic wand and just make you confident, as much as I'd love to. I'd be a very rich person if I could do that. What I want you to do is have a look at your two circles, one that represents where you're at right now and one that represents where you want to be. And I want you to attach 3 words to each circle. So think about 3 words that represent where you're at in your life right now. And just jot them down on the page next to the first circle that you drew. And then the same for the second circle. So 3 words that represent where you want to be in your life. It doesn't have to be at any particular point in time. It's not necessarily about time. It's more about the you that's confident. 3 words that will describe that you. What will you be doing? How will you be feeling? And if you feel comfortable, I'd love to hear a few in the comments. Again, I appreciate that this is a very big group of people. There's 77 of us now. So if you don't want to share, absolutely fine. Equally, if you feel like sharing is a good way of connecting, or you want to share that, I'd love to hear it. I often do this both in one-to-one coaching sessions and in my training leadership programs as well. And it's a really nice way of connecting people to their goals and aspirations. And I often think, if we know we want to be confident, that's great, but you've got to know where you're at right now, where you're starting, and where you want to go in order to even start that process, don't you? I'd like to be less apologetic in my more confident future self. Love that. Love it. There's a really great tip that someone once shared to me. I can't claim this as my own, it's not. That instead of saying sorry, say thank you. So just reframe it. And the example that was given was, instead of saying, oh, I'm really sorry I'm late, just switching that to thank you for waiting for me, or thank you for your time. It's just a really different, stops that kind of self-depreciation stuff, doesn't it? All right, thank you for sharing that. Love to be fitter and have more clarity of mind. Nice. What I'm getting you to do there then is just identify, where am I going then? So coaching, as my kind of background, it's mental health, but I've added coaching since then, and coaching's the thing I love the most, because coaching is about empowering you to make your own changes rather than me tell you what you need to do to change. I actually don't believe you need to change. Coaching is about me showing you've already got skill sets and understanding and thoughts and behaviors and beliefs and support networks that you've already got those resources. I'm just going to show you where they are and help you get them and access them, to hold an audience and motivate. Love that. Could use the language as well. Calmer, bolder, more decisive. Nice. Love these. Overthink that. Thank you so much for sharing these. More articulate. Amazing. Thank you. I'm going to pause that there, but feel free to keep going for it. I think it's really nice to share it. It not only is there an outlet for you, often if you write something down, you're more likely to achieve it, but actually doing it publicly creates this real nice sense of community. And actually, as women particularly, I know there's a few guys here, but as women particularly, knowing we're not on our own in feeling some of these things is really helpful to share. That's, role models and community is a real big part of confidence. You can now at least define some aims and goals, right? That second circle is about you going, okay, that's where I want to go. The trick is to go, okay, if I'm in this first circle and here's my second circle, what are the steps I need to take to get there? And that's what coach helps you to do. Some people might have found this quite, potentially quite emotive. It is. Often when we consciously put out some of our thoughts and we see it in front of us and we can objectively look at it, it feels a little bit icky. So fair play for, I think, taking on the challenge. I like it. I want you to just think about what confidence means to you, or what kind of things you've been telling yourself. So sometimes people think, I don't want to be confident because being confident is bad. Being confident is actually, let me know in the comments if you agree with this, that maybe people have heard in their past things like, oh, who does she think she is? Oh, look at her goody two shoes. Oh, you need to step off your soapbox. Women often get told that they, if they are assertive, that they're being bossy, and whereas men are being leaders. There's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of narrative that make us see confidence as a bad thing. People in your past might have told you you shouldn't, don't put yourself out there. It's not ladylike. Often we hear some of those things, right? So I just want to know what you don't have to share this out loud, but I want you to just check in with what you're telling yourself about confidence. Often when I do this stuff, people want me to change the name of their program to self-confident. So instead of how to be confident, it's how to be self-confident. And doesn't that have a real subtle difference just in terms of being self-confident, empowering? Being confident is sometimes a bit brassy, a bit bolshy, Yeah, lots of people talking about daughters. Absolutely. I want us to reframe what confidence means to us. So can you all write, maybe rip off a bit of paper or something, or kind of post-it note size. I want us to kind of reframe what confidence means. So for anybody out there that attaches a negative connotation to the word confidence, let's just change it. Can you finish this sentence for me? I'm not as confident as I want to be right now because ... So what I want you to do is read it out loud to yourself, or if you're in a public place, read it in your head, but read that sentence. So I'm not as confident as I want to be right now because I didn't get my GCSEs. My ex-husband told me I was ugly. I was bullied at school, etc. Because I worry I will fail, because I don't feel in control, because I have anxiety. I hear that one a lot. Because of past relationships, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Can you see already by people sharing the connection that it brings? We display empathy. We can really connect to people when they kind of open up a little bit. Thank you, because I worry too much what other people think. What I want you to then do is get that piece of paper. I just want you to rip it up. And you might sort of think, what a load of rubbish, but it's really symbolic. So a massive part of confidence is about language and actions and behaviors and the kinds of, some people call this self-love. I think it's overused a little bit, that word, but this is about you giving your brain a sign that no longer serves you. So get that piece of paper and rip it up, please. Let me know in the comments when you've done it. I know it's cheesy, I know, bear with me. I enjoyed it. Done. Awesome, love it. Rip it up. Because actually that's just a belief. That belief it's come for all sorts of variety of reasons. I'll show you that in a second, where it's come from. Gone, done, love it. But it's just a belief, and I promise you, if you want to, you have to want to, but you can actually remove all of that blockers that are stopping you from being confident. It might be a big journey, it might be emotional. You might have to get creative, you might have to, increase your support network, but I promise you can do it. So write that sentence down. I'm not as confident as I want to be right now because, and please just rip it up, put it in the bin, burn it, do whatever you need to do. I use this activity a lot. I often get people to write stream of consciousness on paper, all the stuff that people have said about them in the past, all the nasty self-talk they have themselves, get it all out. And I've had people flush it down the toilet in hotels. I've had people, we've had fires outside where people have burnt pieces of paper of 30 things that they hate about themselves, all that kind of stuff. I actually went shopping yesterday, on a side note, with my mother-in-law. My husband's brother's getting married this year, and so I went with her to get a new outfit. And she's not someone who is particularly into clothing or fashion, or doesn't necessarily know what sort of things suit her. And we went to John Lewis and we sat in the cafe first and said, right, what kind of things do you like, what kind of things do you not like? And I said to her, what sort of outfits are you looking for? And she was like, oh, I don't really know. And I said, okay, what's your favorite part of your body? And she said, oh God, I haven't got any. And I said, okay, I want you to tell me your 3 favorite parts of your body then. And she was like, oh God. But actually we just have this automatic, oh, I don't like anything about me, or oh, I'm rubbish, or I'm not good enough. And I think sometimes we just need to challenge that. How do you even begin then? How do you even begin to be confident? And this stuff is massive. I'm really aware of that. And I'm going to hopefully show you some techniques to help you to make a start at least. But self-acceptance is the first one. So in order to be confident, What really we have to do is be okay with being ourselves, right? And a big part of that is we'll get to know what that is and who that is and which parts you like about you and what's your favourite body part, like I did with my mother-in-law. But then it's kind of accepting it and going, okay, that's who I am no matter what. I love the be you unapologetically kind of phrase. I'm going to give you 3 kind of techniques here, so feel free to write this down or, you know, ask questions if you need to and whatever. The first thing is, you'll have heard this before, fake it till you make it. And this, people really debate whether you should do this in terms of being confident because it's not authentic. So faking it till you make it. Let's say that you have to go and, I don't know, do a presentation to the board, or you've got to address a team, or you need to, whatever it might be, you've got an interview, whatever it might be. Faking confidence, or what you want, what you think confidence should look like, is really, really great, because actually body language and our outward expression has a ripple effect. We impact people based on our outward, you know, what we're projecting, don't we, right? So fake it till you make it is a really great thing to start doing. And every single person here, in fact, do this. I want you to sit up straight. I want you to put your shoulders back, stick your chest out a little bit more and hold your head up high. I don't mean like fake it. I just mean just own it a little bit. Own your space a little bit more. Uncross your legs and arms, sit up straight and own the space that you're in. It's your space right now. That's faking it till you make it. So that kind of idea of, I'm going to pretend I'm confident doing this presentation. Actually, eventually, you will start to carry yourself like that. The first time I did these presentations, I'd be terrified. In fact, this morning I was like, oh God, I've got a bit of a big deal today. Actually, now I'm in it, I'm doing it, it's fine. I've remembered in my brain that actually this isn't scary. So faking it till you make it, it's not authentic, it's not you being exactly you, which is, I'm a big believer in that, but it's an amazing, amazing start. And it's going to really help you feel like you're taking action towards getting to that second circle and not being stuck at the first circle anymore. So number 1, fake it till you make it. Number 2 really is, it's all this, the whole thing about getting to know who you are then. So it's about self-awareness. It's about understanding who you are, what's happened to you, why you are the way you are, how that thing impacted you, why you react the way you act, why some people really press your buttons and you really get on with other people, why you've got the dreams and aspirations you've got, how society has influenced you. And you can do this in all sorts of different ways. You can have therapy, you can read self-help books, you can have, I don't know, you can get drunk with your best mate and talk about your childhood. It doesn't have to be real deep and meaningful, but it will have an impact. Some of the stuff I'm doing at the moment is I'm doing a lot of sound healing. Bearing in mind I'm a trainee psychologist and my background is science, it is amazing. The absolute amazing healing that I'm doing. I had a really traumatic birth with my son and my pelvis is still absolutely buggered, and I'm really finding that sound healing is amazing. And what I'm doing through that is giving myself space to just go, I've got to let go of some of this trauma that I'm holding on to. It might be that actually revisiting a place from your past, whether that's, you know, through poetry or literally getting in your car and driving there. It might be that you meditate, you do yoga, you, like I say, pick up the phone, have a chat to your mum, whatever it is. The first bit's fake it. The second bit is become aware of why you are the way you are. And the third bit then is change, do something different, accept it, reprogram it, learn how to let go, learn how to accept. There are bazillions of tools out there that can help you, but there is no point in reading a self-help book now if you haven't done the first bit about awareness and what you might want to accept. It's really important here that I say to you, this isn't about changing you. You might do some changing, and it's absolutely about learning, but so much of that is about just accepting who you already are and let going some of the stuff that dims the light that's already there. I think that's you know, I think what I want to be really careful of is not adding to this narrative of we all need to change. It's not new year, new you. Don't be a new you, be the amazing you that you already are, that you've just forgotten, you know, or that someone's, you know, sort of sandpapered off your edges or whatever. The next slide is the biggest slide. Feel free to screenshot it, feel free to put it on LinkedIn, feel free to put it on Twitter, tag me, tag Wish, but this is the number 1 confidence secret ever. And this is where we're going to get into the neuroscience a little bit. Ta-da! So you are not born confident. Just read it again. You're not born confident. Some of us have beliefs, a lot of us have beliefs that you're either confident or you're not, or you can't possibly be confident because X, Y, Z has happened to you. it is a skill, like chefing, like teaching, like watercolors, like, I don't know, DIY, anything. It's a skill you can learn. I promise you, if you looked at me at age 5 at school, you would have seen a shy child that was terrified to speak up. I promise you, if you saw me at senior school, you'd have thought, who is that awkward alternative person? I was vegetarian at age 13 and I was like the only person in my school, and I was called the weird one, and I got voted most hyperactive in school, and just I was just really awkward and it was horrible. I had some horrible relationships in my 20s. And do you know what I did? I faked it. I used to go on nights out. I used to have a few glasses of wine and my inhibitions would go. And I used to fake it. And I used to dance on the dance floor and let go of all that stuff. And whilst I'm not advocating that we all lose our inhibitions, what I am saying is the fake it till you make it worked. And what I learned was I started to realize, if I act in this way, people respond to me like this. If I actually learn how to be that person, and if I have some therapy on the reasons why I'm not that person in the first place, if I revisit some of the stuff from when I was 5, etc., 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 you can start to strip back some of the pretense. The biggest secret, if you want to get to your second circle, is that you're not born confident. It's a skill you can learn. Everyone can learn it. Like, everybody can learn to cook. Promise you. Some people will say, oh, but I'm not, they're a natural teacher, or I can't ever cook, I don't know, how it all works. But I promise you, if you had lots of hours and lots of great teachers and nothing else to focus on, you could absolutely learn to be a Michelin-starred chef. I promise you, you can learn that. I'm aware that, if we have kids and job and social life and a house and animals to look after and all the other stuff, that you can't dedicate all those hours and all that money and all the resources and all the people to this. But it's about intention. It's setting the intention that that's where you want to go. Normally would pause for breath much more than I am. But I just want to give you as much possible content and value as I can. So I'm going to keep going. I want to leave some space for Q&A at the end as well. I think the kind of biggest misunderstanding is that people either believe you are confident or you're not. So if we can accept and go forward with this thought of I can learn, then we get to sort of draw a line in the sand and go, I used to not be confident. I used to be nervous. I used to be scared, but I'm now learning to be confident. It's not innate. It's not in your DNA. So the 3 things then are about reflecting on where you're at right now, faking it till you make it, learning to understand why you are the way you are and where you want to go and who you are. And the 3rd thing is about learning. Okay, that's the literally every training course, every workshop, every coaching client, they're the 3 kind of foundations. This is an amazing model which is at the heart of all my work as well. This is called the frame of reference. You can call it the window on the world. And let me just describe this, because your confidence, ultimately, if you think back to that piece of paper I got you to rip up, it's about beliefs. Our confidence is the way it is because we have a belief about something. And a belief is just a thought that you've given a lot of airtime to. So a belief, here's a bit about neuroscience. So whenever we have a thought, we create a neurological connection in our brain. So I'm not going to go into the deep kind of brain science of this, but essentially we get a zap of energy in our brain when we have a thought. What happens when we have that thought again is that same zap of energy. And then we keep going and we keep going. And the more we have that thought, the stronger that connection, that neurological pathway in our brain gets. And what you've done over time is you've started to build this neurological pathway stronger and stronger and stronger, because you've believed that either someone said something about you, or you have a belief for whatever reason that you've strengthened and strengthened and strengthened and strengthened and strengthened. For example, I can't believe X because somebody told me that I couldn't. So, I can't be a great chef because somebody told me I couldn't cook. My mom has this with singing. She's absolutely adamant she can't sing because somebody once, when she was 7, told her she couldn't sing. And, you then go on believing it, right? So the more you believe you can't sing, the more you strengthen that pathway. I'm not confident because I once tried to do that thing and I failed, so I can't ever do it again. I'm not confident. I believe that I believe that I'm not very good at maths because my dad once told me that I wasn't good enough. I believe I can't because X, Y, Z. There's loads and loads of stuff, but all of this stuff is creating a neurological pathway in your brain, a belief. So it was once a thought, and then we gave it a lot of airtime and we repeated it and became a belief. So we have loads and loads of beliefs about confidence because of this model right here. So if you imagine the central circle right in the middle there, that's your view of the world. That's your kind of the way you filter the world, the way you look out into all your experiences and interactions with people, the way you look out into your relationships and how you interact. The way that you view your world, if you imagine it like this, has been impacted by all of these things in these other circles. Therefore, the way we all look at the world is all absolutely individual and different. So we've all had different relationships, different achievements, we're all different ages, genders, we've all done different things for work. We all have different aspirations, different education, different sexualities. Some of us have chronic illnesses, disabilities. We've all got different likes and dislikes. We all have all of this stuff going on, and it all has an impact on how we view the world. And if you change that bit in the middle to my self-confidence, all of that stuff will have had an impact on your self-confidence. Some of it really positively. It might be that, for example, you went to a college and there was an amazing teacher at that college who really empowered you, taught you something, and meant you went through life really having an amazing belief about yourself in a particular area. It might be that you were, I don't know, the middle child in a family of 10 that you didn't get as much attention as you wanted to. It might be that where you grew up culturally had an impact. It might be that your mum had a mental health condition that really has an impact. I can pick out hundreds and hundreds of things within here. The reason I'm saying this, and you don't have to share any of this, and I tell people that they are very welcome to reflect on this stuff with me, but they don't have to share this stuff. It's deep and meaningful stuff, and whilst I'm comfortable talking about it because of psychology and mental health, it's personal stuff. But I want you to look at that, and if you want to find it, if you Google frame of reference model, and the source at the bottom there, they're the two people that kind of came up with the model, Jackie and Aaron Schiff, two psychologists. They what I want you to do is kind of look at that and just have a little check-in and go, what of that on that list, on those circles, has impacted my confidence? And it's that understanding piece. If you're faking it, right, the middle bit is about reflecting and understanding and going, okay, yeah, some of this stuff has had a really big impact. Now, obviously, with coaching, with programs, etc., we would go into a lot more of these. You can talk it out. Often talking releases some of this stuff. You can go home and journal on this stuff. You can pray. You can have a conversation with your partner, whatever it might be, to process some of this stuff. But it's that acceptance. It's once you're aware and you have that understanding, we can then, it's almost like looking back to look forward. What's really important with this model is recognizing that all of this stuff's happened, right? We can't do anything about it. It's not your fault. It's happened. It's in the past. However, what's really important from today is that you take responsibility for how it impacts your future. So whilst we can't change it, we can't go backwards and change it, we can change our relationship with it and how we view it, so that us going forwards into the future, we can do that with much more awareness. And I often say it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. It's not good enough if we're talking about trying to gain confidence, saying, I can't because this happened. It's kind of going, that happened, so what am I going to do to try and heal it and move on from it? And people will be at all sorts of different stages. Some people will need to have therapy about things, of course. I absolutely have had to. Some people will be able to go, God, it's because that kid bullied me when I was in year 10. For God's sake, what an idiot. I'm going to move on. For some people, it can be that easy. And there'll be all sorts of things to unpick. And what I'm not saying is you have to dig into every single little part of your life, but I am saying it's having an impact on how confident you are today. The trick is to do that reflecting back and then to go, okay, fine. Although that stuff's happened, from now on, it's my responsibility what I do with it and where the future goes and how that looks. And so you can't magically get to your second circle, but you can work out what your path is along the way. And I want you to look at this, and I want you to look at your two circles, and I want you to go, what's my path? Do I need some therapy actually? Is this actually holding up a bit of a mirror and saying, actually, maybe this is all the sign you need to go in and check in with a therapist? Do you need to go to some healing stuff? Do you need to get some Reiki, some crystal healing, some, I don't know, astrology? Do you need to go to the doctors? Do you need to book an appointment with a doctor? Do we want to go and talk to a coach? Do you need to read some books? Do you want to watch some TED Talks? Do you want to hire me? Bring me into your organisation? There's lots and lots of options. And what's important is you take responsibility and do something about it if you want to get more confident. So at this point, some people will switch off, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. You have to be in the right place in your life journey to want to do this work. For some people, they're not in the right place right now, and that is absolutely fine. Sometimes, you might feel like you really need to sort something out in your life. Other times you won't even be aware of it. It's whether this speaks to you right now. 5 confidence tools. Let's talk through these. We're flying. Okay. Number 1, positive affirmations. What I mean by that is a mantra, a sentence that you say to yourself that changes the old belief, the old neurological pathway, into a new positive one. So do you remember that I said a belief is just a thought that you've given a lot of airtime to? That means that we can, this real strong thought, I'm just assuming it's this side of your brain, it's not, but let's just go with it. This really strong thought, belief that we've given a lot of airtime to about your negative confidence, your lack of confidence, we can change that by creating a new neurological pathway, a positive one. Let's use an example. And again, I'd do this interactively if we were in a room together. Let's say that you have a belief that you are not clever. Let's use that as an example. And over and over again throughout the last, 30 years, you've told yourself you're not clever enough. We can change that. We can choose a mantra or an affirmation that is the opposite of your negative one. So what we want is something like I'm not clever. You can either have something like I'm learning to be better at maths. Let's say it's math specific. Can you tell you're getting a bit of my unconscious coming into this today? I have some beliefs around maths and numbers. What an affirmation I could use, do you know what, let's use me as a real life example. I believe that I'm not very good at maths. And that is because I was always told I was average, and I went to a very academic school. And so average to me meant rubbish because I wasn't good. So that has created a belief, because I've thought it and been told it over and over again, that I'm not very good at maths. I now have a self-fulfilling prophecy because I have an absolute aversion to anything to do with numbers. I use a calculator immediately. Even measuring things, I doubt myself. My positive affirmation, the opposite of that horrible neurological pathway that's really strong, might be something completely opposite. So it could be I'm really creative, and I could absolutely own it and just start to take emphasis away from the numbers thing. Or I could say I'm learning to be good at maths. That gives your brain possibility that it can improve. So it's not a fate. You're not lying to yourself by saying I am really good at maths, because it kind of doesn't really work. It's kind of looking for opportunity. So a positive affirmation, if you keep saying it over and over again, you're going to build a new neurological pathway. You're going to start giving positive thoughts into your brain. It's going to become a belief over time. Actually, if you can say your affirmation out loud, I often get people to do this. If you can say I am good enough, for example, out loud, you have to think it first of all, but you then have to process it into speech. So actually it makes this positive affirmation get stronger quicker. If you then process it into speech, you also have to hear it. So actually you're getting 3 times the positivity. If you say it in front of a mirror, you've got something in your brain called mirror neurons, and they pick up when when you catch a yawn from someone, it's your mirror neurons picking up that there's probably not enough oxygen in the air. So instinct, primal survival thing. And so you yawn too. Positive affirmation in the mirror is the same. So we have to think it, we have to process it into speech, we have to hear it. And if we can see it as well, we think someone else is saying it to us. So we see it, our mirror neurons pick it up, and we strengthen. So choose a positive affirmation that's the opposite of the thing you rip up, and start saying it in the mirror. I have some people who think this is ridiculous, I'm never going to do that, and other people who literally have got their kids doing it. In fact, I had a conversation with someone who's doing a years-long leadership program with me through a housing association, actually, and as part of it, they all get one-to-one coaching. And she told me the other day that she does it with her daughter in the morning. Every time when she goes into her daughter's bedroom, the daughter and the mum say their positive affirmations for the day to each other. Woo! Like, oh my gosh, that makes me feel good about my life. The second one is about reframing your language. This is really important, and you might have seen me slip this in. It depends whether you picked it up. So it's really important to say to yourself, let's start right now. Stop saying I'm not confident, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not clever enough, or I'm not assertive enough, or whatever it might be that you tell yourself, and start changing it to I'm learning to be, I'm trying to be. Just that really subtle change. You're not saying I'm amazing, because that's often too much of a jump. But just reframing your language, instead of saying I can't, say I'm finding this difficult. Can you see how that's really subtle but actually really powerful? Your brain sees possibility and opportunity rather than an obstacle. So reframing your language is a really nice thing that you can do for yourself to just start this process. And this is all, hopefully these are all things you can do yourself. Number 3 is about finding a role model. And I love this. It's innate to human beings. So we as creatures, we are the one species that are reliant on caregivers for the longest time. It's absolutely innate to our species that we look up to people. We have to learn to feed us, to clothe us, to bathe us, to all the rest of it. We have to, we have this innate belief, an innate, thing in our species that we have to look to other people. And you can do that with confidence. So find a role model that emanates confidence, the kind of confidence you want. So it might be, I don't know, Beyonce, it might be Michelle Obama, it might be Malala, it might be your own manager, it might be your mum, whoever it is. Look at them and think, what is it that they're doing that makes them come across confident? And it might be, in general, it might be their persona. And I can tell you something. So Beyonce, when she does Sasha Fierce on stage, her persona on stage, that is her acting, isn't it? That's her saying, here is my confident persona. And I guarantee you, right at the beginning, she probably faked it. And now that is her, isn't it? That's who we know her to be when she's on stage. And like, incredible woman. The role model thing is, it will really speak to you because it's instinctual to look up to people, but it's also a really nice way of either recognizing behaviors you already have and saying, do you know what, I already do that. That's amazing. It's really nice to tell the person you will absolutely, hearing that someone's a role model, like they'll love it. So, that's just an extra little bonus bit. But you can do it in the opposite way as well. So if there are people that make you feel rubbish, try, if at all possible, to switch the emotion off for a second. I realize this is really hard, and work out what it is about them that you don't like, and make sure you don't do it to other people. So you can do this in both ways. You can look at people. I often talk about this with parenting. When people are like, I'm not a very confident mother, I often say, okay, look at your own parents. What is it you really loved about the way they parented you? What is it you really didn't like? And then change it. Be that. Practice is number 4. And this is kind of scary, but if there is something you don't like that you're not confident at, whether that is giving presentations, whether that is having an awkward conversation with a member of staff, doing a one-to-one with someone, whether that is walking into a baby toddler group for the first time and it's terrifying, whatever it might be that kind of freaks you out, do it more. And the thing is, this isn't about jumping out your comfort zone 100% completely, because you'll get more scared and won't want to do it. But it's about learning to tolerate uncertainty. Anyone who's ever done any CBT will recognize this. This comes from CBT. What we want to do is tell our brain it's safe. The example I always give with this is, if someone has a phobia of spiders, a genuine intense phobia of spiders, what they don't do in therapy, the therapist doesn't say, here you go, here's a spider, hold it, let's tolerate your uncertainty, let's practice being confident. Spiders are fine. Obviously, you can imagine the person who has the fear of spiders is not going to want to do that and is never going to come back to that therapist ever again. What that therapist should do and will do is, it's called exposure therapy, is they probably will start off with a picture, a cartoon of a spider, and they'll talk about feelings and emotions and what comes up. That might then turn into a photograph of a spider. Then somebody might have a spider in a locked box outside of the room. Then they might be at the other side of the room. And gradually, week by week, month by month, the spider will come closer and they will learn to tolerate their uncertainty. So if you are terrified of public speaking and you want to do something about it, that's the thing. If you don't want to do anything about it, it doesn't matter. Don't do anything about it, then it doesn't matter. But if you want to get better at something like public speaking or having awkward conversations or being assertive when you're managing someone, just start and incrementally build it up. Again, that's really coachy. Often we need an accountability partner along the way, but I want you to apply that to your own circumstances. It's not just on there because I needed to quickly fill up 5. I've got a billion of these confidence tools. Practice is on there because actually you will give yourself evidence and you will teach your brain that neurological pathway of, I can do it. I am learning to tolerate this. This isn't that scary. I'm not that scared of it anymore. I can do it. I'm confident. Can you see the kind of steps? And then number 5 is learn. Let this be the start. So yes, I teach this stuff. And yes, I feel confident right now. There are many things I do in my life when I don't feel confident. I can't just wave my magic wand. I would love to wave my magic wand at myself. I can't. So I read loads of books. I go to therapy. I have chats. I do sound healing, etc., etc., etc. The thing to say is, this is the start. I've given you some tools. We've done the 2 circles. We've looked at the frame of reference and how some of that stuff influences our confidence today. I've given you that element of understanding. I'm going to share some recommended books with you in a second. But ultimately, what I want you to do is tell me, and I actually want you to do this in the comments, whether it's one of these 5 or something else, what one thing are you going to start practicing, learning, or doing as a result of what you've learned so far today? And I want you to put it in the comments, own it. And the reason I say put it in the comments is because actually, like I said earlier, you're more likely to achieve it. It's accountability for people. It's great feedback for me because I'm a people person. I love learning. I love the interaction and kind of knowing what's in people's brains. The language one's massive, and affirmations. I am good enough. Imposter syndrome is massive. I must talk about imposter syndrome every day. For anyone that doesn't know, imposter syndrome is this idea that, who am I to be doing this? God, little old me, how can I possibly do that? I'm going to get found out at any point. Role models, nice, speak out loud, practice, change my language. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing all that. I love that. Have faith in myself. I can do it. Nice, Katie. I love it. And do you know what? Surround yourself with people that build you up. That's a really big one. There's a quote, I always forget who said it, but it's that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And that can kind of hit home a little bit sometimes, but think about who are the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they your cheerleaders? Are they people that make you feel good about yourself? Just think about it. I'm just going to kind of leave that there. What's next? Here's some pictures. This was this bottom one here where I've got no shoes on. That's also an authentic thing. I'm just rubbish in shoes. So I think I was talking to about 100 people there. That was at Birmingham Wish. And oh God, it was pre-pandemic. So don't know how many years ago, 3 years ago. And I just said, guys, I really need to take my shoes off. I hope no one minds. But various different workshops and stuff I've delivered there. Go to this website, compassionateleaders.co.uk. The homepage, on the homepage, right at the bottom, it's going to be slow because I'm on Zoom. Keep scrolling through all this. I mean, read it if you want to read it, of course. But right at the bottom is here, our top 10 confidence books. You should get that sent to you automatically. Do just check your junk. But on there, I've basically listed the top 10 confidence books that changed my life. They are the ones that I then recommend to clients. They are the ones that, if you do a year-long program with me, I'll buy some of them and we do them as prizes and that kind of thing. But they are books that have changed my life. Some of them are kind of interactive books. Some of them are a bit more academic than others. Some of them are really practical. You can kind of pick and choose from it. But it's compassionateleaders.co.uk. The other thing you can do if you want to, if you want to have a quick 15-minute chat with me, it's totally free. If you want a 15-minute chat about how I can help you or what I would recommend or where you're at in your life, or if you want me to come in and do something with your work team, I'll give you the link to my Calendly where you can book an online appointment. I'll share that link in a second. And the other thing to check out on my website is this little tab, the Wish Leadership Programme, because I'm really excited that we're running this again this year. So last year we ran this for the first time. The Wish Leadership Programme is a 6-month confidence, what would you call it? Program, that's the word, where basically I'm working with aspiring leaders to help them be confident and compassionate and nice at the same time. So you can scroll through all of this stuff. We're starting in April, but essentially it's 6 months and we've got 4 different sections. So over 6 months, you have a self-study course, which is all the stuff that I've just covered and loads more. So that's about your confidence, what you need to do differently. There's lots of different takeaway tools, lots of practical, it comes with a workbook, lots of reflection questions. It's done as a self-study course with videos and a workbook to help you really understand and change some of the stuff that we've just talked about today. On the Wish Leadership Programme, there is 6 leadership management training, I tend to call it. It's kind of the practical management stuff, management techniques, communicating more effectively, kind of how to have really effective team meetings, how to be a brilliant leader, all that sort of stuff. It's done like this, like a webinar like this, once a month. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. We do group coaching. So I put you in groups of 5 or 6, and everybody brings different challenges and problems each month and has everybody kind of help them problem solve. And then you get the opportunity to help others. That's a really nice way to help people feel like they're not on their own with their problems, but also feel really good that they have enough knowledge to help other people solve their problems. And you also have some one-to-one coaching opportunities with me once a month as well, or some of my associate coaches if you'd prefer, and a bonus style workshop which is all about dressing to impress essentially, and throwing the power suit out. And actually a big part of confidence is you feeling like you, and if you can look like you and you can express your personality through your clothes, that's a really great little extra bit that I've put on there. But there's loads and loads of info here. We'll share this link with you. I'll see if anyone's got any questions. So Nicola, I'm going to throw it back to you, but just to invite questions in the chat if people want to.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much. I kind of want to applaud. I feel that we've had such a positive vibe and energy that I'm kind of in the room and I want to clap.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you. And there's a couple of takeaways for me, just while we're getting those questions really in the chat, if you want to put them in the chat. I love to speak fast thing, and being not that I speak fast, and so I am very aware that I'm trying to speak slowly deliberately now because I'm conscious, she says, blushing. But being you saying actually confidence can also be about being confident and comfortable with who you are, and actually you knowing that you speak fast means also that that's confidence in itself. You know, not everyone will like you, you know, not everybody is your person. The other thing I thought as we went to the end was about the path. I loved you mentioning the book, you know, do you need a journal? Was what I was thinking, you know, just start blogging some of these thoughts potentially that people are having. Just be honest with yourself about how you're going to get from this place to the next. Should we have a look at some of those questions?
Yeah, perfect.
About imposter syndrome somewhere. I'm sure I saw that because I know lots of people talk about that. Another conversation we've had, so imposter syndrome, maybe you could say a word on that. And the other thing I had recently conversation about was fear of missing out. And I don't, imposter syndrome is one thing, fear of missing, I don't know, these words, what do they mean? Have you got some advice for us?
Yeah, so as I said with imposter syndrome, it's this, I mean, break down the two words. I think we need to not call it a syndrome because it's more of a belief, I think, but it's about believing or feeling like you're an imposter in your life. So often it's related to job. What's really interesting about imposter syndrome is that we all have an idea. In fact, do you know what? Let me just see if I've got a book right here. Yeah, I do. This book, I think this is on my top 10 book list, but I'm recommending it right now. It's a little red book. It's called On Confidence, and it's by the School of Life. And it's written by a guy called Alain de Botton. You don't need to know his name if you just Google School of Life on Confidence. It's he's a modern philosopher, he's still alive today, and he talks about imposter syndrome. He talks about this idea that even Albert Einstein, even, I don't know, think of some like heroes, they didn't believe that what they were doing at that point in time was good enough. Einstein didn't go, I've got this amazing theory and I'm going to put it out there to the world. You know, Picasso didn't believe that he was making a masterpiece. We all have, it's absolute innate to human beings to not be bullshit and put ourselves out there. And I tell you why, the reason that we think like that is it goes right back to tribal days, right back to instinct when we were cave people. Think about this. If you are in a tribe and you stand out like a sore thumb and you shout about yourself and you start going, I'm amazing, look at how brilliant I am, you're going to be the loudest. The loudest is the most likely to be noticed. The most likely to be noticed is actually the most likely to be attacked and eaten, right? Absolute instinct. So our instinct is, let's all stay here, small and safe. So whenever we get put in a position where we're out of our comfort zone and we're made to step outside the crowd, even if we're encouraged, it feels scary. So imposter syndrome is this kind of, we've been elevated, we've got a promotion, or we've been told we're really great at something, or we can't believe that we're being given this opportunity. It's absolutely natural to feel like that because our instinct is to be in this safe small group. And so what we really have to be aware of is that any human being will feel like that, but they're either faking it or they've got a really amazing group of people that they can provide that little small safety net. So often you see that with great big entrepreneurs or whatever, they'll have a really close network of people. Celebrities often really small close network of people because it makes them feel safe in that little environment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But I really recommend that book. There's only so much I can say in 2 minutes, but that book will cover imposter syndrome amazingly.
We are over time, but there was another question which was around if you worry about what people think, how to be confident when potentially what's holding you back, I think, is worrying what other people think. So yeah, got any words and maybe
it's the same thing.
Word of wisdom?
I think it's the same thing. So we're worried what other people think of us because we don't want to be seen as the person on the outside of the tribe. We want to be seen as what everybody else is doing, right? It's absolutely human nature. So you can do two things. You can absolutely go for it. So if anyone's aware of Liz O, singer, amazing campaigner, have a look at her Instagram. She's 100% herself and absolutely out there with it and doesn't care. And I think you can have that attitude of, I think sometimes it can be a coping strategy, that kind of hardness of I'm not going to let anything bother me. Or there's some acceptance work to be done. And this is the one I would advocate for. Some acceptance work to be done around it's okay that not everybody likes you. I think we're often told, aren't we? It doesn't matter what other people think. Don't worry about what other people think of you. That's their problem, not yours. But actually, that really goes against our grain. It's against our instinct a little bit, because it does matter what other people think. If you think right back again, I've mentioned this instinct stuff. When we're babies, even when we're in our biological mother's womb, it matters what our mum thinks, right? It matters what she eats. It matters how she cares for us. When we're a little baby, it matters what our mum thinks. It's absolutely ingrained in us that it matters what other people think. So to try and say it doesn't matter what other people think is really bad advice. It does matter what other people think. The trick is you get to choose now as an adult who matters. You get to make a conscious decision. As a human being, we have the ability to override our instincts. That's how we've survived, literally how we've survived today. So you have the conscious ability to go, I'm scared, this is terrifying, they think that of me, but I'm going to do it anyway, or I'm not going to let them matter. And I'm saying this in a sentence, this is deep stuff. There's a lot of stuff behind it, but you can do stuff about that, I promise.
Thank you. I think we've reached the end of the questions and we are over time, so I am going to draw us to a close. Do have a look at the links that Hayley's provided, and as she said, she's got a link to a course that she's going to be running this year. So do have a look. The other thing I was going to say was, in terms of Wish, do have a look at our website and our LinkedIn. We've got so many events across the country this year. We're beginning to open up. We've got in-person events as well. So wherever you are in the country, there'll be something. I'm sure there'll be something for you. A note about International Women's Day. So for us, International Women's Day is a week. So week commencing the 7th of March, all across the country, there are in-person and online Wish events. Do please join one. That'd be great. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you everyone for taking part as well.
Thanks everybody.